voices. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we do welcome you to the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Tim Sheridan, I'm Jason Klaus. I certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. And I'm aware there is a little bit of weird feedback on, and it's 100% on my end. And I apologize ahead of time. As you can tell, I am very much on location this week. But at the same time, and I know we missed last week, we missed a shit ton of news and notes from the world of sports last week. So we're playing catch up, and we're looking at this week. We've got a lot on the docket for this episode. We are live streaming this across our platforms on Riverside.fm, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. And in just a moment, I'm going to be posting a link on the Facebook feed that will allow you access to come onto the show live as we're doing this. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, or anything of the sort that we're talking about, you are more than encouraged to join the conversation live as it happens. Before we get out of that, my good friend Tim Sheridan is with us, as he is each and every week. Tim, how's things going, man?
Well, first off, I got to say, not each and every week, because we weren't here last week, and it's
Well, every week that we do this show.
No, things are good. I mean, we missed a lot over the last 2 weeks, but it was actually a nice, time off to, take some things in. I guess I don't know. Like it was a busy week this previous week, which turned into a busy week this week. So it just keeps going because we just come off Father's Day weekend and everything else, which was super busy weekend for me. I run and chase around the golf courses all over the place, plus me playing golf like every day. I think I played golf 5 times in the last week and a half. Shit's actually popping up in our chat on Riverside. So that's
I was
fun.
just going to ask you if it was popping up on Facebook, because
that hasn't crossed over to Facebook yet. So you might need to post that on Facebook. Right. But that's always, I've known that to be an issue. When I post something on the Riverside, it never transfers over to Facebook. But the Facebook is feeding over too, because I made that high comment on Facebook. But anyways, yeah. So we missed a lot. Coming off Father's Day weekend, which, excellent weekend for me. I don't know. How was your Father's Day weekend?
It was decent. I got to see my kids for, a little bit. We had lunch that day, so I didn't get to spend as much time with them as I would have liked, but be that as it may, it was a good day. My girl, made sure I felt special for Father's Day, so I really appreciated that. It was a good weekend all in all. I worked. I think we only had Saturday night off because it was a 6-day work week for us. But I got to spend some time with my dad, and all in all, it was a good day. So happy late Father's Day to all you gentlemen who are tuning in, to you too, especially Tim. I'm sure your kids made you feel special.
That they did, and so did the wife.
Of course.
We did our normal. Actually, we didn't do our normal Father's Day thing this year. Usually we go golfing, but we did not go this week because obviously, we had talked about this previously, but that whole weekend leading up to that was quite crazy because I had the death in the family and we had the funeral 2 days before Father's Day, and it was all family stuff. So Father's Day kind of got intermingled in with all of that, but the wife made me feel special. She took me out to a cigar bar Saturday night down in Lake Orion, which was a lot of fun. I got some got to get a really good cigar and got a couple of pours of some nice whiskey that I never had the opportunity to get because it's too fucking expensive for me. So I got to try some shit that probably the only time I'll ever try it, but it was delicious. It was expensive, but it was delicious.
We're at
And
Lake Orion.
it's right downtown Lake Orion, like in downtown. It's called the O Cigar Bar. I think it's a cool place. I'll have to take you down there sometime. Like it was really cool. Great drinks, great atmosphere. We sat there and we watched the actually that weekend going on was the US Open, which I'll get into later. So we sat there and watched some of the US Open while we sat there and had a few drinks and a cigar, and it was a good time. And Sunday spent it with the family. We did a little grilling and just hung out around the house, and I drank a bunch of beer. So great day.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Being able to just kick your feet up and I know this is going to take us on a little bit of a sidebar, but I have always felt like, even as a kid, I always felt like dad's got the shit end of the deal. Like all the attention is focused on mom on Mother's Day, and I'm not taking anything away from that. The hardest job in the world, is being a mom, and I totally understand that. But god damn it, we have we have a stake in this too. We work hard. So, when I hear things like what you're saying, you were taken out, you got to experience things that you generally wouldn't be able to experience. Man, celebrating dad is so important for us, and I can really appreciate the extra effort that goes into when a good dad is being celebrated on Father's Day. So, and you're top notch in my book, brother. So, you deserved everything you had coming to you.
I give all the credit to the wife. Amy always treats me like a king that day. So I always feel good about Father's Day. Got awesome Father's Day gifts. Another bottle of whiskey for my shelf and a few other things that I really dug. And yeah, it was a good day. But other than that, we got a ton of sports to talk about. Ton of
We
sports.
do. Since the last time we were on the air here 2 weeks ago, God bless America. Stand by.
This is what happens when Jason loses his home and he has to record on the street.
Oh my God, so obnoxious. Don't move. It's this cord right here, and I don't know what the hell. Anyway, we have a lot to get to. The last time we were on the air, we were still in the midst of the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals. Both of those have since um, come to an end. We have champions in both the NBA and the NHL. For the
USA. USA. That's all I gotta say.
look who's joining us right now, live.
Oh, motherfucker. Oh, he's on location too. You both are homeless as fuck. Fucking coming live from your fucking out in the woods somewhere. Are you guys together?
I'm fucking cutting grass, motherfucker. What are you doing?
Live from the mower.
Live from the back 40.
This is the first. I don't believe anybody's ever been on the show while literally sitting on a lawnmower. So that's fantastic. Jim Brigette is joining us live here, co-host of Tea Time. T, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
All right. So now, Tim, just because of where he's at and what he's doing, damn well his file ain't going to upload until next Tuesday. You know that, right?
Oh, most likely. You need to keep the app open even after you leave.
I understand.
Okay.
Just playing with you, T. It is great to see you. We're just getting started here with the headlines. NBA and the NHL both crowned champions since the last time we were here on the air for back-to-back seasons. The Florida Panthers are the Stanley Cup champions, and then on the NBA side, the Oklahoma City Thunder wound up putting away the Indiana Pacers in 7 games in a series, Tim, that I think was much better received with the product that was actually played on the court than what we had anticipated when this thing was getting going. I was concerned that we were going to be talking about a lot of controversy with the referee situation in the NBA because that seems to have marred this whole season, really.
Yeah.
By and large, though, it was a better than expected series. I was sad for Indiana fans with Halliburton going down very early in Game 7, and when that happened, it just seemed like the wind got taken out of the sails for Indiana. Oklahoma City, much like what Quadell Edwards had predicted, they did win it all, and Oklahoma is celebrating their first major world championship. So congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder and to the Florida Panthers. Anything about these two stand out to you?
To me,
No. Oh,
yeah. Go
Well, I
ahead,
know
Jim.
UT because
I'll be
you're
back. I'll be back.
okay.
Okay, so
We've
to
lost
me, it actually turned out to be a pretty competitive series. I know a lot of people when it started. I'm talking about the NBA one. A lot of people when it started were saying that OKC was going to sweep the Pacers, and that didn't happen. I mean, the Pacers are in it to the very end until Halliburton got hurt, which is what a hell of a name. He sounds like some, you know,
briefcase.
it sounds like a briefcase, or maybe you would hear like some type of medical supply type thing, you know what I mean? Or even a military industrial complex company named Halliburton, who knows? But uh yeah, they stayed right in it. And you were talking about the refs, how they didn't play as much. It was because they switched all that energy over to the WNBA these days. That's where the refs are getting all the heat. Because they don't call shit over there. We'll have to get into that sometime because holy shit, that's all I'm seeing is clips of Caitlin Clark getting fucked up and no calls like anywhere on the court. It's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, really competitive series. Turned out to be a lot of fun. I did have a chance to watch a few games because they put them on Max, so they made them available to people like me who don't have cable. So and other than that, we'll get over to the NHL. That series turned out to be really freaking good too, and I mean, it ended up just the way I called it. I know, you were rooting on the Canadians there. But I said that shit needed to stay in the USA, and it did. So that was another really good series. Panthers were just a little bit too much for Edmonton there, and they end up winning it all again 2 years in a row. So they can go for a three-peat next year. Now, is that possible? Who knows? But if they play like they played this year and finish it out in the series at the end, they could do it again and go for a three-peat. I think that's are we allowed to say three-peat?
Yeah.
I thought Phil Jackson copyrighted that shit.
I do not give a shit. So,
but
if nothing else, we get flagged. I go in, I cut the clip, and I re-upload it. It'll be no.
Oh, who knows even when we get uploaded anymore? Our last episode didn't even go to Spotify because Spotify got hacked by fucking. I think they said it was the Iranians or something. Hacked a bunch of our shit, so we couldn't even get it uploaded.
Right.
So, like, weird enough. Who knows? Who knows? And Facebook shuts us down for almost anything. So
you sneeze wrong, and Facebook is shutting us down. But
yeah,
it's getting stupid. Is what it
Spotify doesn't shut you down for anything. I can say whatever the fuck I want on here, and Spotify doesn't say anything as long as they're not being hacked, and we can actually get our shit uploaded. But yeah, another NHL really good series. Finished it out. The cup stayed right where it belongs. And that's in the U.S. because we're the greatest country on earth, and we have the Pope. He's on our side. And Poping ain't easy, Jason. Poping ain't easy.
It truly isn't. That's for damn sure. But I will say this in regards to both of these series, the NHL and NBA. Both of these series was what the respective leagues needed.
Correct.
They needed teams out there that weren't these super teams that we have talked about at great length on this show. This showed the rest of the league, it showed the rest of the world that you don't have to have one superstar to make a difference. And the product that was out on the court and on the ice was a testament to that. And that's not to say that every team didn't have their marquee players, because they do, but they're not what we would call the faces of the franchises, the faces of the leagues. And what we saw was hard hitting and competitive sports,
Yep.
all with the intention of crowning world champions, for the lack of a better term, Stanley Cup champions, NBA champions. I came away, I didn't watch every single game of these series, but I watched as much as I could. I watched a shit ton of highlights, obviously. Um, for the Stanley Cup Finals, Florida was just, once they get into a second gear, man, like they are unstoppable. But to Edmonton's, credit, they came out with guns a blazing, and they understood what was on the line for them. And I feel like, and I had seen on an interview after the Panthers had won, one of the coaches for the Oilers had come out and said, "Look, we weren't just playing for the Stanley Cup; we were playing for the country of Canada." And I kind of alluded to that. It had been a minute since Stanley's Cup has been represented by a Canadian team, and I kind of alluded to that. So to hear him say that, I was like, "Oh yeah, I get it," because hockey is, it's held in a lot higher regard in Canada than it is here in the United States. Um, but what we took away from this is, man, you put the right product out there and people are going to watch. They want to watch fun and competitive sports. And that was on full display. So kudos to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kudos to the Florida Panthers. And, it's worth mentioning, a lot of congratulations are in store for the Edmonton Oilers and for the Indiana Pacers. So we just wanted to make mention of that.
Well,
The
kudos to the Pope too, because if Canada had a Pope, they would have probably won it. But we have a Pope. So
that
so God's on our side, Jason.
okay, there it is.
Yeah.
In the words of the iconic Blues Brothers, they were on a mission from God. So, that's great, fantastic.
So yeah,
Um,
those sports are done. Also, before we move on, I want to make mention, because there was another championship game that we didn't have a chance to talk about, where our elite Michigan Panthers happened to lose to, I think it was the Birmingham Ballerinas. Yeah, so we lost that game, unfortunately. So no title for the state of Michigan this year, but we made it to a championship, and that's pretty fucking badass. So let's build up for next year, and let's take them Ballerinas out next year.
Technically, they're the Stallions, but
Oh, are they?
hear you. It was disappointing. I did see a little bit of that game. Sam and I had gone to. We went to some restaurant and they had. Oh, it was a Chili's in Flint, and they had it on, and it was in the third quarter, and Birmingham was starting to pull away from them, and I was like, oh god damn it. So I kind of was, not ignoring what was happening at the table, but I kept, glancing over
Looking
every
over.
chance I got, just to see what was happening. And, disappointing, yes, but the fact that they represented the USFL in the UFL championship game. Look, the Michigan Panthers were the marquee team this year, and we had a lot of hope, especially where they play here for their home stadium is Ford Field, and with our love affair with the Lions and everything, we really wanted to use this as hopefully a catalyst or a catapult to bring another championship team to Ford Field. So, okay, the Panthers came up a little bit short, but to their credit, they did make it to the championship game, and they have nothing to be ashamed of, a
No,
lot
not
to
at all.
build off
Yeah.
of going into the next season here. So, Birmingham just was the better team on that particular day. And you know, Alabama, the state of Alabama doesn't have a whole hell of a lot to cheer for. In you know, not in especially in the sports space. So we'll give them
Well,
their
they got college
applause.
football, Jason.
Well, they do, Tim, but I mean, for on a professional
Yeah, on a professional
level,
level, they don't really have shit. But let me
not
ask you
really.
something real quick because you
Yeah,
said you were at Chili's. Did you get the
mm,
baby back ribs?
I did not get the. Okay,
That's why they fucking lost. Thank you, Jason. If you go to a Chili's, you get the fucking baby back ribs. It's in the fucking little jingle, okay? Chili's baby back ribs with barbecue sauce. You know, it's so yeah, you fucked up and you caused our Michigan Panthers to lose.
I
Like
don't
I'm
know
putting
why
all the
you
blame
want
on
to
you.
put that on me. That's an awful lot of fucking pressure. Next thing you know, my inbox is going to start blowing up. People are
Now,
going to be
now,
sending me death threats.
yeah, if you would have got the baby back ribs, Jason, and they would have won, I would have been like, so that's the thing now. Every time they go to the championship, you got to go to Chili's, get the fucking baby back ribs. It's kind of like you go to, this one time, I always tell this story. This one time, we went down to the city when Amy was pregnant with Chase, and we had to go down there to do like some 3D ultrasound shit. And my mom wanted to go to Red Robin after we got done. So we're like, okay, because my mom was with us and we go to Red Robin. Amy's never been to a Red Robin. And she goes, what's good here? I'm like, well, it's a burger joint. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Red Robin's known for is their burgers and their bottomless fries. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so get a burger. She orders the ribs. And of course the ribs suck because it's a burger joint. So I ordered this nice big fat ass juicy burger that my mouth was watering for. Amy hates the ribs. So she got a burger and I got ribs. Um, but you go to a place and you get what they're known for. And since it's in the jingle, I'm going to say Chili's is known for their baby back ribs. And if you would have got that, Jason, the Panthers would have won.
Can I tell you this? I'm going
Yes.
to tell you this, and then I have a sidebar story.
Okay.
Of all the times that I've been to Chili's, and there's been quite a few,
You've
I
never
have
gotten them.
never gotten their baby back ribs.
You're
Never.
not living, man. Like, you're not living. I've
They
never even been
had
to a fucking Chili's.
no.
No.
Then what the fuck you busting my balls for?
It's in the jingle, Jason. Like, that's what they're known for. Like, if it's in the
No.
jingle, that's their prime product. Like, that's what they got famous for. You know, they didn't say come to Chili's and get, the fish and chips. It's not the Chili's fish and chips with
Tartar sauce.
tartar sauce. It's baby back ribs. Like, fuck.
I don't know, man. I just me and ribs in public. It seems like a bad idea. Okay,
You
number
only
one,
live
I have
once,
that shit
Jason.
all over my face.
Yeah.
Now, my sidebar story is this: we were doing Trick or Slam in Brighton in 2010, and in Brighton they have an IHOP. So we went to the venue to set the ring up. It was at the American Spirit Center on Grand River. And down the road, about 5 miles down the road, there's an IHOP. So the majority of the roster as a whole went to IHOP. There, and I'm sitting at the head of the table, and my guys are lined up on either side. Now the wait staff was immediately worried because we had guys that were 400, 400 pounds. They're going to put away some pancakes, right? So we're going through, we're ordering, and the ladies coming, and sitting next to my right is the package Andrew Steele.
Oh, good
The,
old Andrew Steele.
the Steele twins are a treasure unto themselves. They don't mean to be, but they are. So tell me why we're at IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, and this motherfucker at 10 in the morning is going to order a cheeseburger. Do you know I have never let him live that down.
That's probably the worst fucking cheeseburger he's ever had, too. Holy
Jim
shit. It's a whole new man.
Jim is back with us, Jim Burgett. Jim, I love that shirt, by the way. Is that
Thank
new?
you. Yes, it is.
Okay, that's wonderful. Listen, do you remember the year we did Trick or Slam in Brighton? We went to IHOP and Andrew Steele ordered a cheeseburger. Do you remember that? Were you
No,
there?
but I did that. Remember when we went to Louisville and we stopped at a IHOP and I'm like, I don't want pancakes. Remember, I'm like, do they have anything else other than I wasn't there when he ordered when he ordered it. I heard about it, but I wasn't there.
So you did this weird shit too, and you got a
Yes.
burger at IHOP.
Yeah.
Was
And
it
I
the
don't know
worst
why
burger
I
you've ever
blocked
had?
Huh?
Was it the worst burger you've ever had?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I had a burger. I think it was breakfast, but it wasn't pancakes. I think I got something else. But we were in Louisville. But that Trigger Slam was that at the football field one?
No, that was the one in Fenton in 2008.
I was at that one.
Yeah, Tim got hurt at that one, I feel like.
No, I got hurt like 2 weeks after that one.
Was it?
Yeah.
With foot?
Yeah, that's when I
With-
tore my ACL.
Yeah, that
It
was
2
at
weeks
Terry's.
after.
That was at
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody got hurt in Fenton at Tricker Slam. I don't remember who it was because I remember them sitting in that little lobby.
Was it Mark? Didn't Mark go over rough and hit his head?
It may have been. It may have been. I mean, we could sit here and tell war stories from our wrestling career because you talk about Mark. I remember his leg exploding in Otisville. You know, like it looked like a fucking crime scene in
Hey,
'98.
shit. I've only ever been on one show where I watched somebody get taken out in an ambulance, and it was this man sitting right there.
Let's not bring up old shit now.
He got knocked the fuck out.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like we thought he was dead for a minute.
Sports. This is a sports podcast. Let's not hijinks it with remember when.
All right.
But we should totally do that sometime. In fact, I had an idea where we all go golfing and we just tape this thing and we can tell war stories while we golf.
That'd be fun. I'd be down for it.
That would require me golfing.
I'm no
I
good.
got
I'm
oh.
no good. And from what I've heard from Tim and people that have played with him, he's fucking awful too.
Oh,
So
I am. I'm not good either. My 13-year-old can kick my ass. So
Oh Jesus, that's funny. That's funny shit.
especially with
All
the way
right.
I played earlier this week, like I fucking sucked 2 days in a row. I was like, what the fuck's going on with me? Like I've been playing pretty well this year, and then all of a sudden I get out there the last 2 days, I forgot how to swing the club.
I can't drive my shoulder in. I'm wanting to swing it like I'm playing softball, and it just doesn't. You know what I mean? I'm not
It doesn't,
driving the shoulder into the ground.
yeah, it doesn't translate quite well.
No, it sure the fuck doesn't.
My
Stupid game, anyways.
It's the fucking one of the greatest games on earth, Jim. And later on, we will get into the PGA, and that's probably when you'll leave. But
Well, while we have them, why don't we go ahead and make the transition over to Major League Baseball because I know that's what he's here for.
That's not true. I like seeing your guys' faces. I didn't know it was already so late. I figured you wouldn't be going on till 7, and then I just stopped to smoke a cigarette, and I looked and holy shit, there was 2 ugly mugs there. So I'm like, all right.
I got a little early today, so I jumped on a little early. So Jason was here.
We're shutting down next week for a whole week. So if we don't do a fucking tea time, and I'm guest starring on a fucking sports podcast, we got a serious problem here.
Well, that's fun because I've gotten all next week off too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How about that?
Anyway,
I work
over
all
to-
day, you guys.
Moving on.
All right, let's talk about
Good for you two. Good for you two. Okay, I gotta go die in the fucking heat.
T. Why don't we pick a day and we'll take Tim lunch while he's dying at work? That'll be fun.
That would be all right. Yeah, we can do that.
My people will call your people. We'll get it all.
Hear that, Harley? Hear that, Harley?
Harley's not invited.
Oh, you can't kick Harley out of it.
Oh yes, the fuck
Come
I
here.
can.
Right there, that motherfucker, the one on top. That's the one you want to bite when you see him. See him? Don't look at him. Jeez, what's wrong with you? Poor baby.
King Harley. The only dog I know has got his own TikTok, so that's wonderful. All right, let's talk about baseball. The Detroit Tigers still rolling. T, you and I got into a little bit of a conversation through text last night. I let Tim in on it a little bit. Scott Boras. came out yesterday and made probably not the smartest comments in relation to his agent, one Tarek Skubal. This is done hours before Skubal is to take the mound in his latest start. This kid has been the talk of the Tigers, reigning Cy Young Award winner. Like, he's one of the elite pitchers in the American League. So tell me why it's a good idea, T. We'll start with you, to have your agent go to the media and start making bullshit comments about how the Detroit Tigers are going to have to really open up their checkbooks if they want to re-sign this guy when his contract expires. Just a mere hours later, in his start, Skubal is giving up 4 runs in the first inning. Probably not what I would call the smartest move by Scott Boras, but if anybody knows him and knows how boisterous he is, he's one of the most successful agents in all of sports. But that doesn't mean you're not above getting ripped apart when you do something assholish. Where are you at on this?
Well, he is the Paul Heyman of sports agents. He is the wise man, as it were, and I I think they want to get a deal done with Detroit. I just don't. Now at this point, it may not be. It might be a foregone conclusion that he's done. I mean, that's. I mean, and then when you talk about last night, it's like, and then he goes on and he ends up, getting 8 Ks, wins the game, and to give up 4 runs and now not have to panic because that roster can easily put up 4 runs in an inning, and they put up 7 when I happened to when I first turned on, they were losing. 2-0, and then we had tied with Carpenter's home run. Then they went ahead 4-2, and then we had that really monstrous inning. So, um, as far as Boris goes, he's just that agent with, like you said, all these superstar pitchers: Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. I don't know if he was Miguel Cabrera's. I don't recall at this time. JD Martinez. The list goes on and on and on. This guy's got a track record of getting his elite ball players the money, which I can't really fault the guys for going after the bag, especially if they're good. I mean, I think Scherzer's still getting paid from 2 other teams. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Look how long. I don't know. I'm not sure if A-Rod was had him as an agent, but look how many years Seattle paid for him and Texas paid for him. It's just the guy's got away, and it's the track record's proven he's going to get the money or he'll go somewhere else. And who's to say with our the farm system, and who knows what they can go get if they do decide to trade him. But it's not a good start. I wouldn't imagine not going off on the right foot here, especially in the middle of a run.
So that brings up a question that Tim and I had talked about on the last episode of the program here, and you weren't on there. So let me ask you this: um, as we're coming up to All Star break, just a couple of weeks away here, and we're looking at the trade deadline for MLB. Are the Detroit Tigers approaching this as buyers or sellers this year, in your opinion? That's part one of the question. Part two is, if you are a buyer, what are you buying? Are you buying more depth for the bullpen? Are you looking for another starter? Are you looking for a big bat? What are you looking for if you are in the boardroom at Comerica Park?
Well, if you already have decided that you're not going to sign Screwball, it's time to start putting some pieces together. You're going to want a right-handed bat. You're going to want to, I would imagine, another starter, right? Or at least 1 to 2 long relief pitchers that can eventually become starters, young guys, you know, guys that throw more than 2 pitches, maybe have a 4 to 5 pitch arsenal, and yes, oh yeah, bullpen, I think for any team would always be a prize get. But with the Tigers, to answer that question, yeah, if you're not signing Screwball, I think you can get at least 3 to 4 good pieces and maybe even a draft pick. But I was thinking about this the other night, like draft picks. We can get the best guys, and then we get 2, 3 good years at them. They're fucking down the road. So really, and if you don't win within that window, you have them. You're fucked. I mean, if you really find a superstar out of your draft, out of your minor league system, and then up to the show, and you got a gem here, and they're only going to be here 3 years, and if you don't win, I mean, so what's the end game here? The Tigers 50 wins, first team to 50 wins. We're in great shape. 9 games still ahead of Cleveland, I think, at last I checked, and It's yeah, I think Screwball is the answer to that both of those questions.
So I'm pulling up right now. This is the entire league, Major
Ooh,
League
Dodgers making a
Baseball.
run.
Yeah. See, now what's interesting about this, Tim, and I'm glad that you brought this up because the last time I brought this up, the
Dodgers were
New
like
York
5
Mets,
down there.
yeah, the New York Mets were at one point the number 2 team in the league, the number 1 team in the National League. At some point last week, the Mets had actually become, statistically speaking, the best team in baseball. But that was for about a window of 7 hours because the Detroit Tigers come back in and just started running roughshod. And not only them, that's where a lot of focus is right now is on the Tigers, but they forgot about the other teams in the National League, i.e., your defending World Series champions, Los Angeles Dodgers. They're just now a game underneath the Tigers right now. So the National League continues to do a lot of moving and shaking. The American League has remained pretty consistent up until this point. Right now, as you can see on the screen, the Tigers, Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs, and Astros are your top 5 teams. Um, the New York Mets, like I'm not really sure exactly what's happening, but it seems like the bottom is falling out, and I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to um TikTok a lot. I mean, that's where I get a lot of my clips and things of this nature. But man, this rivalry between the Mets and the Phillies is really starting to become on par with a Yankees Red Sox rivalry. Like these motherfuckers are just beating each other at the plate, and they're not even trying to make it look like an accident at this point. Tim, have you been catching any of this shit that's been going on between the Mets and the Phillies?
I mean, I've seen a few TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I haven't been following them too much. But yeah, I've been seeing a few TikToks where they just light up and just throw the ball right at each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying because that's been all over TikTok the last few days.
And I kind of think last night, and it don't have to do with that team, but when they drilled McKinstry last night after they had just lit them up, I kind of thought that was personal. I mean, not personal, but and he was beating somebody. You know what I mean? And he didn't drill him completely in the back. It looked like he got him some in the arm. But to me, after he just got lit up after being up, 2-0, then 4-2, and then the bottom dropped out. And man, AJ Hinch, once again, you guys got to agree on this one. I mean, it don't always work out, but at 50 wins, it's working out.
Yeah,
Like that guy knows where to plug these guys in from day to day. And you know who else used to do that? Is Jimmy Leland. He would throw a guy in there and be like, "Well, mate, I'm putting him in there because I thought maybe he would run into one." Tui Sopo, guy hit 2 home runs on a Jim Leland fucking hinge, or Leland hinge. Hunch. Now I can't.
Hinch.
So, yep, and I think he's yeah, like I was saying at the beginning of the season with Leland being around. I think Hinch is absorbing that too, and I it just seems right players are step next man up. Wenzel Perez last night threw 2 guys out at second back to back plays. That's unbelievable. One is crazy. Two, that's and then has another good game at the plate. He had fought off like 6 or 7 pitches and took one inside and drove a double down the line. Like these Hinches, he's found a lightning rod, and it seems like every single player he's got up for that game.
No, I agree. Listen, I have said a lot on this show. I was concerned when they signed AJ Hinch just because of all the bullshit that went on in Houston.
Well, how
And
could it
I
not?
and I really didn't want that kind of controversy, that kind of drama surrounding our baseball team. Because there are people that, when they talk about the 2017 World Series, people don't even acknowledge that. There's a big blank mark right there. They did, the Houston Astros were awarded the World Series championship in that season, but diehard baseball fans don't acknowledge it because of all the allegations, the sign stealing, the cheating, and this, that, and the other thing. I really didn't want that shit brought here to Detroit. But man, what I will tell you is AJ Hinch, I'm talking about, has really found his niche here in Detroit. He's always been a great baseball mind. Obviously, you have to be, but he is firing on a different cylinder here in Detroit. I don't know what the difference is between here and Houston, but it doesn't even matter at this point. But I will go ahead and say, like, it was a travesty that he was not manager of the year last year. It's going to be a travesty when he's not manager of the year this year. And the reason why that happens is, and we've said this, probably because it has something to do with the logo that's on his cap, and that's unfortunate. I don't know why there's this bias against the Detroit teams, but AJ Hinch is playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And you're starting to see, I mean, we've seen that all season long, much like what Jim was saying. When it's all said and done, Tim, do you think Jim Leland was the last manager that we had here that was put into Tigers history royalty, right up there with Mayo Smith, right up there with Sparky Anderson. Um, AJ Hinch seems like he's on track to add his name to that Mount Rushmore. Would you agree with that? And
Oh,
does it take a World Series to put him on that level?
I think a World Series would catapult him right to that level. I think he'd need a few more years of winning seasons, kind of like Leland had. I mean, he had a good long stretch there where we were really good for a long time. Um, so he's had success last year, obviously getting us into the playoffs there, and then success this year. It's going to take a few more for him just to skate in there without a World Series, but a World Series would put him in there like right now. You know what I mean? He's
Mm-hmm.
got the ability, he's got the skill, he's doing great for the city. But yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit more if they don't win the series this year to get him in there. But I think I mean, 2-3 more years of winning seasons, he'll be right up there in the lore with the rest of those guys.
I've got one complaint that's been bothering me. I'm not off for the pitch framing. Every fucking pitch. You know what it reminds me of? Little kids trying to steal second base in Little League when they're like fucking 9 years old. You know what I mean? Like they take these gigantic leads, and then they're off and running where that shit don't matter right now. Like fundamental baseball. You know what I mean? And the pitch framing is just like Nana Boo Boo or some shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't like it. And when you have a pitch that drops below the guy's shins and he's picking it up at numbers, we got problems. And I watched the umpire calls balls and strikes all night last night for both teams. And Dingler's really good at framing pitchers. Rogers is good. I know what happens, but it's like every pitch. It could be fucking 3 feet outside. They're gonna try still bring it back to the edge of the plate. Not a fan. And I know they award like they keep that stat now, that framing strike, which is what the fuck.
That's I was wondering how you were going to feel about that. There's all these little tweaks and little changes with the way this game is played in an effort to speed it up, to make it more interesting for primarily TV rights, really, because when you go to a ball game at the ballpark, like you're going to have a good time, regardless of what's happening. Um, but but I understand the frustration. I understand what you're saying here, and you're right. It's every goddamn pitch. Now they're talking about as far as pitching is concerned because there has been so much attention on the umpires. There are new channels on social media, YouTube and X and Facebook, um, where their sole purpose, their sole content is all these blown calls by these umpires. Now, Jim, they're talking about bringing in some sort of computer animated thing that is going to be calling balls and strikes based on AI technology and everything else. What's your take on that?
No different than, not even intentionally walking guys now you just signal to the umpire and you're walking to first base. What's the difference? Why don't we hit a home run and not even turn around and go right the fucking dugout? Why even run around the bases? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why why pay a guy, almost $1 billion, and then a family of four or two can't even go and watch a ball game because they have to give up the kids' college fund just to get into a game. What the fuck? What is it? It's all wild. I don't know. I mean, so you're not gonna have umpires behind the plate. You know what I mean?
Doesn't
So
sound like it. It sounds like what some of the reports that I had read, like this is what would replace a human behind home plate. You'll
are they
still
gonna
have,
are they gonna see a framed pitch?
I don't know.
It's gonna
Like
get rid of those.
But there
Yeah.
could be like iRobot out there calling balls and strikes. Why don't you just set up RoboCop out there while you're at it? What
Oh
the?
man.
I mean, they're taking everything away from the game of baseball.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
you're talking about the I hate how they do that intentional walk now where they just
Yeah,
take a bait.
it's
It's stupid because I still remember back when Cabrera played for Florida and they tried to intentionally walk him and he
oh
jumped
yeah,
out there and fucking smoked one of the pitches and got a base hit.
yeah.
So like that takes that excitement out of the game right away. You know what I mean? But I also understand the aspect that they're trying to speed up the game and to make it more enjoyable. Because yeah, there was times where baseball games would take 3.5, 4 hours long.
You're
Who the fuck
right.
who's got that amount of time to give up? You know what I mean? So they're trying to draw viewership. I understand, like I do too. I used to watch baseball as a thing, but they were having a lack of viewership and they're trying to find a way to bring it back. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, you're
sometimes
right.
games would struggle on for way too long. I always enjoyed it, but I'm a sports fan. They're trying to catch that casual viewer that's got an hour and a half to give up to watch a game that doesn't have 3.5 hours to give up to watch a game. So I understand it on that aspect, but it is kind of all kind of cheesy now. And you take away the intentional walk, and sometimes those players can sneak out a hit off those. Did it happen very often? No. In fact, the only person I've ever seen do it really was Cabrera. I'm sure other,
Wild pitch. You've seen them.
yeah,
It could advance the runners. Runner could score.
yeah.
You know, the guy at second base after 9 innings now, like
Yeah.
it's like having a ghost run, not having a ghost runner, but here we go.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
shit confused the shit out of me when I was watching baseball last year and I went into the 10th inning and they started out the guy on second base. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? They're trying to
Yeah.
speed up that game so it doesn't go into like fucking 13, 14 innings. They're trying
I
to,
do. I do like the pitch count, the pitch clock. I do like that. That way, you don't have guys like Dustin Pedroia. I mean, obviously not playing, but would step out of the box after every single pitch to adjust two batting gloves, fix his helmet. Throw some dirt on the bat, get the fuck in there. That shit like that is what takes too long.
yeah,
However, that the downside of that, the pitcher can't reset if he's having a bad at bat
yeah.
while pitching. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, I totally understand too. Cause I remember watching, 2011, 2012 Tigers, you know, you had Papa Grande on the mound and he'd have to spit on his hand 50 times and then
Yeah.
rub his hand through his pine tar through his on his hat, you know what I mean, and try to get something going on. Like, it was just a long process to get a pitch off. Yeah, so I understand the pitch count thing, and I actually like the pitch count. I think that's the biggest thing that turned around the speed of the game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, but I don't think they needed to do the intentional walk thing or any of those other things. And I'd hate to see an umpire go away behind, you know, home plate. I have a feeling even when they do it, they're still going to have an umpire out there because you still need somebody to call safer out, you know, if
Right.
come home, you know what I mean? Like, although that's all getting weird now too, because teams can challenge it if they see it up on the fucking screen that the guy was
Yeah.
safe, they can just challenge it, get it overturned regardless. So do we really need any of these guys, or do we just watch video of every play? You know what I mean? Do you even need umpires anymore? Who knows?
Well,
But
why even play the fucking game?
yeah, or do we even need to watch them anymore? Or do we just need to
Yeah.
simulate the whole season? Like,
Yeah.
100%.
Do you want to watch this game? Possibly.
yeah, can I just simulate to the end? You know, like
Yeah.
it's like we're playing
Yeah.
Madden here, just simulate
Yeah.
the season.
Fast forward to preseason. Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen, all I'm saying is if they're looking for more ways to add a boost of entertainment to the on-field product, all they got to do is take a page or two out of the book of the Savannah Bananas. Them sons of bitches are entertaining.
oh yeah, they're entertaining, but they're entertaining in the aspect of like the Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah,
The Harlem
Or the
Globetrotters are
XF or
entertaining.
the XFL.
Yeah,
Watch 'em
you
out.
know. He says, watch 'em out.
we won't have any ugliness on the show here, son of a bitch.
Hey, I give credit to the
Anyhow,
XFL since the new iteration of it, you know what I mean, then where they combine with the UFL. It's actually pretty entertaining.
mhm.
It's more just football based and not all the theatrics. And, you know, they had a hell of a champion. We were talking about the Birmingham Ballerinas earlier this year. So
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's look and see what else is going on as far as MLB.
oh yeah,
I
because
mentioned it. I
Are they
mentioned it.
playing right now? Are they on right now?
Stand by. They're not on the schedule.
Podcasting.
Oh
review.
yes, yes, they are. They're playing the Athletics, which brings me to this next point. The Athletics have broken ground on their brand new stadium in Las Vegas today.
Oh.
So we're getting closer to them actually having a city to call home, albeit I'm pissed to this day that it's Las Vegas. I wish they would have kept them in Oakland. I don't need to reopen that can, but I did see as we were coming on the air, actually, they went ahead and broke ground on what's going to become the new home for the Las Vegas Athletics. Just doesn't roll off the tongue like Oakland, but T, I don't know if I ever got your opinion on this. How do you feel about the A's moving to
I
Vegas?
thought they excuse me, I thought they were like an old school original franchise, you know, like it's too bad they have so many California teams out there, you know, but Oakland, man, they've had a history of really good Hall of Fame ball players out there, and it's too bad because I mean, I'm trying to remember when Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire burst on the scene, guys like Dennis Eckersley and Dave. Help me out, the
Winfield?
big guy, huh?
Melbourne.
No, no.
Winfield? Oh my, you got him, Tim. Oh.
No, not Melbourne.
Oh,
Yes, Winfield, and of course Ricky Henderson. I mean, it's unfortunate. Where are they playing at home right now? Currently, are they still in Oakland?
Sacramento. They're in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ballpark? Have you seen the
I have.
ballpark? And
It looks like a college stadium.
oh, how many seats?
I don't know, like 1,200, 1,300.
I
Holy
mean, that's all
shit.
that's all they could fill. It's 1,200, 1,300 on a good day.
No, I'm not sure what the capacity is, but when I'm looking at this shit, I feel like I'm looking at Fifth Third Stadium. You know where the Mud Hens play. You know, it looks like a minor league baseball stadium. It's not on the level
Gotcha.
So let me
of
ask you this: why did they not just keep him in Oakland until it was time to move?
there was something going on with the stadium, with the city and the stadium.
Oh, that's all
And
fucking politics
it
shit.
is. All of it is politics. The fact that they even wanted to move out of the city is politics. You've got a mayor the mayor of Oakland, who was hell bent on doing anything he could to keep that team because they had already lost the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like the Raiders had already left. So he was doing everything he could to keep the athletics in the city, and between the governor of California, between the commissioner of Major League Baseball, a bunch of high rollers in Las Vegas, it set up a perfect storm to rip the hearts out of all the fans in Oakland, California, even more than they already had. You already raped them of their fucking football team, and now you're going to take their baseball team too. If I'm a fan of Oakland or I'm a resident of Oakland,
It's Jim dying right now.
I ain't wearing nothing that has LV on it. It just isn't gonna fucking fly with me. But there are gonna be those diehards that they're gonna follow that team regardless. But I don't know, man. It's I hate relocation if it doesn't make sense, and this just didn't make sense to me. They could have put a fraction of that money that they're gonna spend building this new stadium to renovate Oakland Coliseum and turn that into a marquee venue. But they won't, and they're going to wind up tearing it down, and
Yeah.
it's going to be unfortunate because Oakland needs something, man. You know, they don't have Golden State Warriors. They don't have the Raiders. They're not going to have the Athletics. It's like, God damn it, man. What is it about Oakland? Why is there a prejudice against Oakland?
Do you
I
think
don't
it's
know.
just such a small market that they're trying to move into a large market? I mean, Vegas is going to be a large market for any team that moves there. Now, whether or not that team's become successful so far, like the Raiders haven't, but I know in the NHL, when the Knights moved there, they've already won a Stanley Cup out of that city. So there's more money in that city to play around. So you're moving into a large market situation. And Vegas seems to be the hot spot. I mean, I'm sure you guys have covered the fact on the fatal four way about how WWE has just said fuck you New Orleans and moved back to Vegas for WrestleMania next year. So that seems to be the place where there's a lot of money to be made and there's a lot of money to be spent. So a lot of these things want to move into this area, and WWE is gonna. I mean, I don't remember WWE ever having back-to-back WrestleManias in the same fucking place. That's
4 and
that.
5 were in Las Vegas or in Atlantic City at Trump Plaza.
Yeah,
But
that
it
was
hasn't
pretty
happened
fucking
since then.
early. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I'm talking now. Like now they usually do big stadium things all around the country, and people put in bids to get this. I don't know, and you'll have to explain to me off air because we don't want to spend a lot of time on this. What the fuck happened there? I'm sure you've probably heard something of why they decided to move. But yeah, I think it's more or less trying to chase that large market. And that's a team owner thing. It's money. Yeah, you're moving to a much larger market with a lot more money. You're going to have a bigger fan base, not only from the people that are there, but the people that come there to visit, because that's a big tourist town. It's an awesome fucking place. Jason has been there now. It's a cool fucking city. Jim, I don't know if you've ever been there.
When I was a kid.
When you're a kid, yeah, Vegas is cool as hell. But yeah, I think that's just chasing big market, and where else are you gonna go as an easy fix? And Vegas has been clamoring to get all the big sports there, and it's only a matter of time before we see an NBA team there. I imagine that's in the next couple of years. And then yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Is just the market. I think Oakland was way too small of a market for them, and they couldn't really become super successful in a small market because the money's not there. You got to make the money to spend the money to fucking win. And unfortunately, that's how sports are set up these days.
I
Yes.
think it was better in the earlier days because you could see the crowds with all the superstars the A's had.
Yeah.
As they turned into like Moneyball, where they just started shipping guys out because they couldn't afford anybody. Damon and geez, there was a for Giambi and shit like that.
Giambi.
All went
Yeah.
to New York, and they had to strip the team, and then they go on that little stretch there. Now, had they won that, who knows what the hell. You know what I mean? Who knows what the rest of the course of history is for that franchise? Maybe Billy Bean becomes a genius. He's a genius, and he's able to remodel the stadium. It brings in more people. But Tim, you're right. I think, and plus, I don't think the area is very um, ec- wealthy
Fan friendly.
economic wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And without putting that place down, I just don't think the common person who would be able to just go in there and enjoy a game. It just never, it never really took off. Of course, you always had your diehards like anybody else, but yeah, it's unfortunate because a franchise has got a lot of history to it, and it's unfortunate, and. Hopefully, though, when they go to Vegas, I wonder if they're going to get a dome with it being a heat issue out there. You know what I mean? But who knows? Maybe not. So maybe it'll be an open stadium, and then it'll be like kind of like Colorado, but maybe the ball will fly even farther. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. I have another aspect to this question for both of you guys. Do you think it also has to do with the oversaturation of pro sports teams in the state of California?
Sure.
There are
Yeah.
so many of them in the state of California that it's like, at least in Michigan here, we have one football team, one baseball team, one basketball team, one hockey team. You know what I mean? You go to California and it's oversaturated with teams. I understand it's that is a big state with a lot of people, so you have room for all these sports teams, but like, are the people are gonna lend their fandom to a team that's successful like the Dodgers, or are they going to hang back and be like, we're going to root on the Athletics? I guarantee there's a ton of people in Oakland that are walking around in Dodgers gear, you know what I mean, because they're a successful team compared to Oakland. I think that has a lot to do with it too, for the market side of it.
Me
My
personally, whoops, sorry. I
no,
was
go
just
ahead,
going
Chief.
to add one last thing. Me personally, it would be cool if we had a National League team here.
Where would you put it in Grand Rapids?
Or Lansing, put it halfway.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I thought about that too. But you talk about the California market, and when you
Yeah.
start talking about teams being relocated and things of this nature, like I think of the NBA, they took the basketball team out of Seattle. When you look at a market like Seattle, they don't have a whole hell of a lot going on, and I realize it's not a major money market, but by God, like what Jim was saying with the Athletics and the history with the city of Oakland and all this, these markets that aren't big money markets, their loyalty to their teams is unmatched, if I can be honest with you. So when you start talking about relocation, why are you not focusing on a very oversaturated market such as California? Because every sport they have multiple teams in: baseball, basketball, hockey, fucking football. Like, pick one of those. Now, I'm sorry to, and we have this conversation. We're talking about the Athletics. Well, that's what they did. Okay, why the Athletics though? In It does come down to money. They are the least profitable franchise in the state. Okay, I get that. But there's got to be something to be said for the loyalty of the fans that pump their money into the product. And you are now alienating a big chunk of that, taking that team to Las Vegas. Now, the high rollers will balance that out. I have no doubt. I'm looking at it from a morale standpoint. I'm not looking at shit black and white and dollars and cents. Although that's what makes this whole fucking world run nowadays. It's wrong because especially with baseball, man, because baseball is as organic as it gets. It's America's pastime. They've been playing it for centuries. It's something different about it. But these overly saturated markets, California, New York can be included in that. Florida can be included in that. Um, Start picking and choosing those teams because there really is too much going on right now. If
Yeah.
you're an NBA fan, do you root for Orlando or do you root for Miami? Who I guess it depends on what part of the state. But to what Jim was saying, if we had a National League team for baseball, how could we cheer for them as passionately as we do for the Tigers? Because the Tigers have been all we've known all of our lives.
Right, right.
So it's that aspect that gets a little funny.
You mentioned that loyalty and people get behind some of them small market teams. That's the underdog. The underdog mentality. Yeah, they always root for the underdog, and then the loyalty is going to be there, and you're going to put seats in there. And although it's just not enough, but you get that same following. And like you said, unfortunately, it gets
Well,
axed.
yeah, well, that's my thing. Like, I feel bad for Oakland with all these teams moving out of there. But if the fans, and I know you talk about loyalty and stuff like that, but if the fans were packing the stadium every game, they would have never moved out of that state.
Right,
I've
right.
watched some games where it looked like there was 300 people in that stadium. You can't sustain as a team like that. You know what I
No.
mean? So I understand it on both sides. It sucks because there's a rich heritage there, and we want to see these teams stay in Oakland. But at the same time, I understand it a money aspect too, and it's because, like I said, how many of those Oakland fans or once Oakland fans are now walking around in Dodgers gear because that's a successful team in the state? You know what I mean? You're going to grab onto a team in the state, and that's the part that sucks because the Dodgers have. I mean, they're essentially a super team, in baseball. And then you have a small market team that's just getting shafted because, they're stealing all the fandom away from the Athletics, But like I said, if they pack that stadium every week, you wouldn't even be hearing about them moving out of Oakland. It's the same thing when the crazy thing is to me more so is when the Raiders left, because the Raiders really did have a cult following. You know what I mean? Like, they would pack that stadium. It was football. There was more to that one, but the Athletics, like that was a rough one. Dave made a good point here too. He said Ohio also has far too many teams, which they do and none of them seem to be major market teams. I mean, some of them try. The Cavaliers stepped up and they dumped a bunch of money into that team for a few years, and they had a successful run there for a minute. The Bengals, they're a pretty good team, but even I'll always call them the Indians. I don't know who the fuck the Guardians are, but yeah, the Indians have always been a pretty good team for not a super large market team over the years. You know what I mean? They've had a lot of success. So, but yeah, Ohio has a lot of teams too. We're lucky that we don't have any of this shit going on.
It's like the WNBA wanting to get paid for NBA salary when, like them. That's why they're not, because they can't put the seats. They can't fill the seats, so they're not going to pay them that money if you can't fill 18,000 seats in an arena.
But the crazy thing is they are now, especially with the whole fucking Caitlin Clark thing going on right now. They're packing them places out. WNBA is getting a lot of eyes on them, and I see some raises coming in the future. There's a lot of controversy around there with the refs and everything else, like we were bitching about in the NBA. We were talking about this before you got on, Jim. But yeah, like WNBA is actually becoming like almost must watch, even when Caitlin Clark's on the floor playing. Like, she's fucking incredible. Like, just watching her play, she's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely growing, and I think you're going to see some bigger contracts come out of the WNBA pretty soon, because those teams are making fucking money. Not all the teams. Indiana's making money right now. You know what I mean? It's
jealousy for Caitlin Clark is just that is not. Yeah. She's getting that Eminem hate because Eminem was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, she's getting that Michael Jordan hate.
Yeah.
She's getting. The WNBA needed their Michael Jordan. They've finally got her.
Yeah.
In Caitlin Clark, 100%. We can spend more time talking about that next week, but I do want to focus real quick, per our request from our friend of the show here, Dave.
Do I need to hit the music?
Yes, sir, you do. We are going to be switching over to our PBA bowling report here on the Sports Reel podcast. Brad Angelo leads the 2020
Jim's like, what the fuck? It's
Oh.
Dave Melbourne. Dave Melbourne. That's all.
PBA 50 South Shore Classic. The New York native rolled a 250, a 247, a 222, a 233, a 236, a 300, 237 for 1725 inside Olympia lanes. God damn.
What about Roy Munson? How did he place? And Big Earn.
Didn't I tell you to call me Ernie or Big
Yeah.
Earn? All right, here are the top 10 standings real quick for the PBA 50 South Shore Classic. 1, Brad Angelo. 2, Stephen Kyrie.
Never heard of him.
Dan-
Next.
Dan Knowlton. Number 4 is Chris Barnes. 5 is John something or another. 6 is Clint Dacey. 7 is Gary something or another. 8 is Mitch Beasley. 9, Rudy Casamakis.
Mitch,
Fun
good
name.
to see you. Hey, Mitch.
And 10 is Tom Adcock. So there's your PBA report for this
He
week,
just
Dave.
said cock.
It's not Adcock. It's Herbie Hancock.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
Oh, real
Let's,
quick, I had to make a statement. I seen a report coming out that Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan's new thing has sold 380 tickets so far to their first thing. So yeah, we'll have to get into that next week.
You know what's funny is I just listened to Bischoff's podcast from this week, and Conrad was kind of not really digging for information, but Bischoff is making it sound like this thing is catching fire, and you know they're looking at bigger venues, and then I hear this, and it's like, bitch,
I don't
you
know how
couldn't
much of
fill
it's
Dordt
true.
Federal
Yeah.
Arena right now.
Yeah,
Did you hear what they were going to do for the intermission? They're going to have Ric Flair come in and take a big shit and leave.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Saw that story too. Saw that story. All right, Tim, let's go ahead and get into
All
this
right,
week's
Jim, it was
golf
good to see you,
report.
bro.
All right, you guys. Thank you again. Tea. We got to do a tea time soon. And we
Leave
actually
your-
are. We should do an actual tea time. Like fucking go golfing. You know what I mean? It's like we could wrap it all in one and put a nice bow on it, get really fucking drunk, and drive the cart around, knock some shit in the woods, the water, all that.
Well, if it's
All
on
right.
the weekend, let me know because I'm free on Sundays.
All right, that sounds like something. We could do that. Let's not go to a
Except
nice
for
course
this-
so we don't get kicked out. Okay,
Yeah,
it's been
except for
good.
this Sunday.
All right, have fun talking about golf. All right, bye guys.
Don't
Good
log
seeing you.
off. Don't log off. Leave your phone open. He logged off. Son of a bitch.
Well, next Tuesday you'll get this episode of the Sports Reel podcast.
Here we go.
All right.
Boom. Tim's 2 minutes of golf. We have to go back actually a couple weeks because I didn't realize we were off for a couple weeks, but we'll go back to the US Open. JJ Spawn won it. Good for him. We've been hearing his name a lot in these reports this year so far. He's been pretty hot, and he came out and won his first major. I think he's like 35, 36 years old, and he didn't even get his first good run at it until he was like 34. So good for him. We had McIntyre in second, Victor Hovland in third, Tyrrell Hatton in fourth, Big Dick Swimming Cam Young and tied for fourth also. John Rahm seventh. Scheffler dropped to seventh in this tournament. I had leading up to this, I said, keep your eye on Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau. Unfortunately, I was wrong on DeChambeau. He didn't even make the fucking cut for the tournament. But yeah, Scheffler, he ended up going seventh. Rory finished 19. You had Schauffele and Koepka ahead of him. But yeah, Morikawa in 23rd. That was your U.S. Open. Anybody who watched it, it was a great U.S. Open. I know it was a couple weeks ago, but I just wanted to touch on that. Last week was the Travelers Championship. Keegan Bradley won it. That actually came down to the 18th hole where there was a 2-shot swing because Tommy Fleetwood was leading in there. And I was actually kind of rooting on Tommy Fleetwood. I know he's European, but he's never won on the PGA Tour, and he's a good player, and I really like Fleetwood. But he ended up losing it with some stupid mistakes there on 18. And Keegan Bradley took that thing and won last week. McElroy finished 6th, tied with Scheffler, so both of them up there in the top 10. Ben Griffin, who won a couple weeks ago, he was 14th. JJ Spawn also tied for 14th after winning the Open the week before. Wyndham Clark in 17th place. Matt Fitzpatrick in 17th place. These are some of these names we're going to see here coming up pretty soon. Colin Morikawa in 42nd place. That was another good tournament. And then we'll get a quick look forward to this weekend.
Something going on this weekend?
There is. We have the which I've been calling this thing the Rocket Mortgage Classic, but apparently they decided to just shorten the name. Now it's just called the Rocket Classic, which we will be there on Sunday. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're going to be there on the final day, Sunday, live from the Rocket Classic. I'm sure we can do something live on Facebook since we'll both be there. So we might as well load up our phones and kind of give an update of what's going on there. Few names in the
Rocket
lineup.
Classic.
Yeah, and the lineup here at the Rocket Classic this week, we got Cam Young. Minwoo Lee is going to be there. Wyndham Clark is going to be there. Cam Davis is going to be there. Colin Morikawa, he is now the number 5 player in the world, is going to be there. We got Keegan Bradley, who just won last week, is going to be at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Ricky Fowler, I know I talk about him a lot. He's my kid's favorite golfer. Matt Fitzpatrick. Got Matt Kuchar, which I'm sure you'll hear about him because my father-in-law is a big fan of his, and he just likes screaming "Cooch" every time he comes up there and goes to the thing. And my father-in-law will be there with us along with Chase. There's some other names on here. We'll get into it more. I'm sure we'll go live on Sunday. But yes, Ben Griffin, who we've been talking a lot this year because he's been pretty hot this year, is going to be there. Max Homa, Hideki Matsuyama. I can never get his name
Easy
right.
for you to say.
Matsuyama. He's going to be there. Gary Woodland.
Mozzarella.
Cam Young. Let's see. I'm going down the line right now. There's going to actually be some really good names this year, like more than what we had last year. So the Rocket Classic is growing. It's good to see Morikawa back there. I think he won it like 3 or 4 years ago. But it should be a good time. Yeah, we're headed there this weekend. I don't know how you're feeling about it.
It's been on my calendar, dude. I've made mention it to my girl. She's aware I'm not available on Sunday, so she's taking full advantage of that to do her shit on Friday and Saturday. So, and I'm looking at the weather right now, and as things stand, it's looking very nice.
Oh, we should be clear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the low 80s, maybe a little bit of cloud cover, but it's going to be a beautiful day for golf down there in the Detroit Golf Club. With a bunch of people out there. So I'm super excited about it. Hopefully we can go live from there at some point from our phones. So we'll kind of give a little update while we're on the course, but I'm really looking forward to Sunday.
Dave, I'll get you a NASCAR report for next week, brother. We're coming up to the end of the show here, and I gotta get ready for work, if I can be honest with you. I will get you a NASCAR report. I will also get you, what was the other thing he had me look up? It was PBA.
Synchronized swimming, I think.
For some reason, that doesn't sound right, but there was PBA, there was a NASCAR, there was something else too. But we will get you the NASCAR report for next week. We will be going live on Sunday from the Detroit Golf Club for the Rocket Classic, and so stay tuned. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button on this page or the Sports Real podcast page, because you never know when Tim and or I will be going live, not just on Sunday, but at any point whenever a major breaking headline develops. You get your news and your information right here on the Sports Real podcast, along with some commentary that is second to none. I don't mind telling you. Also, check out pfcstore.printify.me, our official merchandise site. Or if you're looking just for summer inspired gear, that's over at PFC's summer.printify.me. And as a programming note, next week's Fatal 4-Way will not be on ONTV. It will be on here on the PFC network across our platforms here. Stay tuned to our socials for the day and time we're working because it is the holiday weekend. Things have just kind of been thrown in disarray a little bit. So we're going to get everybody all together at one time. Stay tuned. And we'll be breaking down all the news and notes in around the world of professional wrestling. So you can check that out. Tim, anything else before we put a bow on this?
Just the normal Go Tigers. I think that's all we have going on right now. That's all we got left. Fuck Tigers. All the other sport. I mean, besides golf, like I'm gonna go Ricky Fowler this weekend. That's who I'm rooting on for the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
And you can tune in next week. We're going to have a full report from the Rocket Classic and all the other sports headlines. With that, for Tim Sheridan, I'm Jason Klaus. Go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next week. Well, actually, we'll see you Sunday at some point here
on the Facebook page. That's where we'll be going because we have enough followers now to go live from our Facebook page. Or no, you'll be there, so you have the PFC page that we'll go live from. But
stay tuned. We'll
Stay
be live.
tuned. We'll be live.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Go Tigers. It keeps going.